This is Daniel from iapologia.com, where science, reason, and Christianity meet. Many times people in the Christian world wonder if they should vote or not. And so this video was supposed to kind of help give you some ideas on should you vote, and if you should, what types of things should you vote for. So to answer the first question, should I vote? I'm really concerned when Christians don't vote. Well, I'm concerned when they do vote if they don't have a Christian worldview. But besides the point, if you have a Christian worldview, I don't understand why a Christian would not vote, especially in the United States where we're encouraged to vote. And it's not like we are participating in any violent action at all, which would be one concern with some ideas in the Christian worldview that as Christians, we should not be violent. And that's fair enough. And I sympathize with this. But this is a very nonviolent way of sharing your view and encouraging people to come on board and make policies to run the world around us so that we can better live and have a better society and have more ethical society. So that's a good thing that we have this option to vote. So I would really encourage you to go vote if you have any hesitancy at all. Now, this brings up a issue is that many times people are uncertain when they go to the polls to vote, and they're like, well, maybe I should vote for this person or that person or whatnot. And I'm sitting there scratching my head because it's like, what? Okay, I can understand if someone's going to the polls and there's two people that are almost identical in their belief system. But most of the time when people go to the polls, there are mainly two parties, especially in the United States, to vote for. And one party usually is a little more biblically aligned than the other. It's not always that case, but I've seen it as about 98% of the time, one party seems to have a more of a biblical focus or a biblical worldview, a view of reality. And if you're going to the polls or if you're going into the election season and not knowing some of these basic biblical principles or Western worldview principles that all came from the biblical worldview, by the way, then I'm concerned because this is something that you should know. So let me give you some of those. But before I do that, let's answer who should I vote for. And I kind of answered this already, and I'm going to say this is people who fit the reality, people whose views fit reality, or what you could call the biblical worldview or biblical values. It comes down to the fact that the biblical worldview matches reality the best. And so when you go into the poll, look for people who are promoting the biblical worldview, the reality, and how the real world should work. One person once said that the Bible, and this is not just one person, many people have said this, but the Bible is the foundation of Western civilization, and this is very true. From freedom, anti-slavery, from science, promotion of science, to the court system, to all these other things that we have and we love in our society, they all are based upon the Christian worldview. So what are some of the most important issues to think about as in our contemporary times? And I think these are almost timeless issues that we always have to be considering for generation after generation. These are issues that ground the Western worldview. Number one, vote for life. Vote for the abolition of the murdering of the unborn. This is so serious. I don't understand why and how Christians can support, quote unquote, Christians can support abortion, or why they would. This is like taking the life of a human person. This is murder. So I'm really concerned with that issue when people vote for people who are continuously promoting these evil acts against other people. And so this, if nothing else, this issue alone should just give it away who to vote for. But I think there's other things as well. Vote for property, the right to property, to own property. Many people with a socialistic and Marxistic worldview or bent want to see the abolition of private property, but private property assumes a biblical worldview. You go back to the Bible, whether it's in the Old Testament or New Testament, there's an assumption of private property, whether explicitly or implicitly, such as you should not steal. both said in the New and Old Testament. That's assuming that there's private property. We can go back in the Old Testament where we should not move ancient landmarks. That ancient landmarks, all it's saying is fence posts or posts that divide two different landmarks. It has nothing to do with traditions or culture or anything like that. It has to do with the division between two people's the division between two people's lands. And so if you own a certain land, don't move it over to just get a little more land. You want to be honest and true. So that's a assumption that private property exists. In the New Testament, it's the same way. In Acts, we see people selling their property and giving the money to the church. Again, it assumes private property and that you have the freedom. In Acts, it talks about the apostles talk about they had the freedom before they sold it to give the money to whoever they want or not sell the property. Vote for liberty. Vote small government. This is so important because when we have liberty, we have more freedom, obviously, and bigger the government, bigger the gun, and less the rights. And this predicates not only the Western worldview, but also the worldview of our nation as a whole. A vote for family. This should be a no-brainer. Vote against the erosion of the family values. Promote one woman, one man, family for life. This is so important, especially in our day and age where there's so much sexual immorality and encouragement of divorce, remarriage, and fornication and transgenderism and all these lesbianism and gay and homosexuality. All this is promoted. And this is breaking down the family. And also along with that is a very important issue is the inner city problem. The inner city policies are happening inside some of the larger cities. There's a huge issue. That issue is the breakdown of the family. And we can see the breakdown of the family. There's a single mom. The dad runs off. And there's policies in place to encourage that, social policies. And this needs to be taken out because it's promoting family breakdown, also promoting poverty on top of that. Vote justice. Vote for justice. Vote against discrimination, such as the form affirmative action. Affirmative action is a form of discrimination and racial discrimination and sexism. And also supremacy of any type, whether it's black supremacy, white supremacy, Asian supremacy, male supremacy, female supremacy. These are all against the biblical worldview. Vote anti-theft. Vote against people who thieve for stuff, and even legal thievery, such as when the state takes higher taxes than what's necessary to run the government properly for everyone. When there's taxation to give to other people, other individuals, that is called theft, and it's not a good thing. Our foundation of our government was never meant to have this type of taxation, as you can read through some older documents. Money should be given on a voluntary basis, not through a forced distribution, forced by a large government with the big gun. You want to have a voluntary level, and even through mediating organizations. Many mediating institutions are there to help the poor, help those in need, and most of them are actually biblically based, which is quite interesting. It's another point for another time. Vote religious liberty. This is so important. I mean, you can look at North Korea, South Korea. So far, there's still a lot of religious liberty in South Korea and not much in North Korea. This is hopefully changing. Hopefully we'll see more religious liberty in North Korea. Same with China. We can see when there is less religious liberty, you cannot share the gospel and you are in extreme persecution. We don't want that here. We want to have that freedom to practice, preach, and share the gospel without concern or without being jailed. Also, vote for family authority. This is a very important point. Vote in favor of families to make decisions how they want to raise their kids, especially Christian families who want to have a biblical worldview. I mean, this is not at all promoting abusive family structures. That's not a family. That's abuse and that's evil and that's wrong. I'm talking about families who want to choose their education for their kids. When a government system starts taxing everyone for a school system that's concerning to me. I'd rather move away from that. I'd rather see where families can make their own decisions upon the school of their choice without being taxed. And this is a very important point. It goes against our commonsensical framework that, we can tax people and everyone needs an education. Of course, everyone needs an education. That's the biblical worldview. It's the Christians who came up with that idea of populist education. But again, it was not meant to be a government-run thing. Rather, it's supposed to be a local community, family-based institution. Okay, so here are the number of principles I just gave you. Hopefully these help you. Again, when you go to the polls, have these always be in the back of your mind to guide you. I mean, you should not be uncertain. You should not be going to the polls like, who should I vote for today? Or who should I not vote for? Or, I don't like this person today, but tomorrow I do. This should not be. I don't understand this wishy-washy, flip-flopping type of idea that people have, the uncertain personalities or certain ideas that people have. These are eternal or ongoing views that you should continually have. And unless you're an undecided Christian, without a biblical focus, sure, you can be flip-floppy. But as a Christian, you have a foundation, you have a biblical worldview you have to stand by. And these views are grounded in reality. Keep them and vote for them. Again, this is Daniel from iapologia.com. Go out, share to your world the Christian life, the Christian beliefs, and the Christian worldview. In other words, share with your world Christ.